How do you effectively apologize? This is a topic I've heard in a lot of conversations with organizational teams, with clients this past week. So I thought this would be a good one to discuss today. So, few things. So, what's the benefit? Okay, let's talk about the benefits first around an effective apology. So, when a person a leader, by the way, this is like one of the most critical pieces of a great leader is someone who actually knows how to effectively apologize. The benefits are when somebody apologizes and they are taking ownership for their behavior, what that does is it creates enormous amount of trust and loyalty. When a leader shows up, and when I say a leader, I mean you could be a manager, you could be a senior leader, you can be a parent, you can be a teacher, it could be any role. And this, by the way, applies to when I think about leadership, I don't think about just like a title or position. It's like it's for all ages. So children can learn how to effectively apologize. It's a really important skill in friendship, for example. So the benefits are when people actually learn how to effectively apologize, it builds incredible amount of trust in that person. It's like, okay, you know what? They are owning their part. I can trust them as a person. And when we have that trust, then that can actually really kind of also fuel loyalty. And so it is a critical piece for all of us to really learn how to develop, both professionally, but also personally as well. So let me share with you a few tips around what not to do and what to do. So the first one is take the word if out of your language. Okay, when it comes to apology, take the word if out of your language. So a lot of people will say things like, I'm sorry if I, upset you. I'm sorry if. Meantime, the person's just said, you've upset me. Like, well, I'm sorry if. Take it out. Right away, you're discounting with what they're actually saying. So you want to take that word right out. Okay, so that's actually really important. The second thing you want to not do is make all of a sudden they bring something up and you turn it back onto yourself. We've probably all had that conversation where we're trying to get somebody to kind of take ownership, and maybe we've had the courage finally to share with them with what we think and feel, and all of a sudden they've now turned the whole situation about them. It's like, no, we were talking about this other situation, but now we're talking about them. And so we don't want to do that. Stay on track. So somebody has had the courage to raise something, stay on topic, and don't turn it back onto you. Okay, so those are a couple things don't do. The other third thing you don't want to do is do these kind of two extremes. If you've read my book, The Three Chairs, I talk about the arrogant leader, the middle chair leader, the confident leader, and the insecure leader. The arrogant leader usually won't apologize at all. They don't. I'm not the problem. You're the problem. They kind of blame things on everybody else. The insecure leader, a lot of times they almost over-apologize. They apologize for way too much. So the middle chair leader, the confident leader, is a person where they really have learned the art of an effective apology. They know when to apologize. They know how to apologize to really kind of move things forward. And so you don't want to do these two extremes, either avoiding it altogether or over apologizing. You want to kind of try to find that middle approach. And so those are three things to just be mindful for. Okay, so now let's talk about with what you do. Okay, a few things with what you should do. The first thing you want to do is you want to try to apologize as fast as possible. Whether again it's in a team environment with a client, whether it's with on a personal side, you want to address whatever the issue is as fast as possible, because it will take up enormous amount of time and energy when issues are not talked out and resolved. You're going to waste so much time and energy. Okay, so everyone wants more time. We all want to have more energy. Learn how to effectively apologize. Lean into it fast. Talk about it fast, so you can kind of like discuss it and actually move forward. And so really try to tackle this as soon as you can. The first, so that's number 4. The fifth thing that I want you to kind of think about is when you're actually apologizing, you want to speak very much from the heart, and using the language or something kind of like this. I'm sorry that, not if, I'm sorry that what I said or what I did hurt you. I'm sorry that what I did hurt you. You can say, that wasn't my intention. That was not what I was aiming to do. I can explain why, but I don't want to justify what I did. What I did was wrong and I want to apologize for it. You want to be very clear, because if you start giving context about why you did or said or whatever it was, all of a sudden it can come across like you're justifying it. And when we justify our behavior, it kind of like discounts the apology altogether, and a person won't accept it. Okay, so you got to stay on course, stay on track with this, and just really emphasize, I'm sorry that my behavior hurt you. That was not my intention. And so really being very clear about that. You can also empathize with what they're saying. I can only imagine that would have been really frustrating. That would have been really hurtful. Okay, so you now empathize with them. Okay, you want to empathize with them. You're staying focused. And then you can say, which I think is a really important piece when we're doing an effective apology, I take full ownership. I take full responsibility. I should have done A, B, C. Next time, I'm going to do D, E, F. Okay, so what you're doing is you are leaning into it. You're apologizing. You're empathizing with how they're actually feeling. You're taking ownership with whatever it is that you have done wrong. And you're also talking about now what you're going to do different moving forward. So now there's a bit of a game plan. Now you're really actually making, like, letting the person know that you've screwed up, but you're aware that you've screwed up, and you have a plan in place, a very specific plan in place with how you're going to make sure that you actually don't repeat it. All of that will help a person listen, hear it, and it will start to build trust. It does not mean that they will trust you right away, and that trust will have to get rebuilt, and trust gets built, and it gets built and it gets taken down. Like it's trust is something that we have to constantly nurture and take care of. But when we apologize, it is certainly a really great example on how we can actually start to build trust with people. And so when whether or not you're a manager, whether or not you're applying this in your relationships, whether or not you're applying this to your kids or your spouse, this process is really, really helpful. And it can be quite quick. It doesn't have to be like this a super lengthy conversation, but it's a framework, it's a process to help us actually in terms with apology. And again, you're watching my videos, so chances are you care about relationships at work and at home. You care about developing great leaders at work and home. That's what we're all about. And if you want to do that, if you want to have thriving relationships, both professionally and personally, learning how to effectively apologize. We all screw up. We all make mistakes. We all will do things that let people down. We need to own it. Own it. It will save time and energy. Just own it right away. Lean into it, have that conversation so that you can really, again, continue to build really fantastic and meaningful relationships.